How you doing, everyone, and welcome to Direct Dreadnought, Gundam, and more on PS4. And this is the RX-77D Guncannon mass production type, the experimental robot released year 77, D variant for mass production Guncannon. Now, the Guncannon was the Federation's first technical mobile suit, but it is more well known as the backline support ground and space robot that was piloted by the supporting characters and friends of the main protagonists of the main Gundam cartoon series. The Guncannon was the Federation's first attempt at making a mobile suit, and it designed this mobile suit with the express intention of mimicking their philosophy of weight of numbers and long-range firepower to completely defeat all foes in the forward arc. And it is a good mobile suit, but it has serious limitations, and we'll get to that in a little bit. The first appearance of a mobile suit for the Federation was before the 1 Year War, when they made a batch of experimental gun cannons, and they were deployed and fought against many Zeon ace pilots in the Zaku 1, and it failed miserably. They were completely destroyed. It was a very slow mobile suit, and it was weighted down with a lot of conventional armor. And the Zaku 1s, which were piloted by Zeon aces and were customized and optimized, made mincemeat out of them, and it resulted in the death of one of the most famous and important scientists in the Gundam universe. However, they went back to the drawing board, and when the 1 Year War happened, with this failure, they decided that mobile suits were not the way to go, and so the scientists went out to redesign better versions of this mobile suit, and the main Federation military tried to use conventional forces and warships to defeat the Zeon in space, and they failed miserably in the early months of the 1 Year War, and then went back to the scientists saying, we really need mobile suits to counter the Zeon mobile suit threat. And so the Guncannon was redesigned with two major factors in mind. The first major factor was that even though this scientist, who's very important, and I'm not going to spoil any plot points here, was killed, unfortunately, the technology he developed, the compact Minovsky particle generator, was used to give really good performance to the Federation mobile suits on par with the Zeon mobile suits. And also, the Federation had taken its mastery of large battleship beam weapons and compacted them into a nice mobile suit usable rifle-sized weapon, and this weapon was something the Zeon were not ready for and not prepared to fight against. Another important factor is that during the V project, which is the Project Victory, in which the Federation designed the now legendary Gundam, they made Luna titanium steel composite tensile armor on the moon. With Moon's lower gravity and the mastery of shipbuilding techniques, the Federation made a very expensive but very light and protective comprehensive armor package that it could give to its experimental mobile suits, and this was dubbed Gundanium, and this was the armor that was used on the Gundam. This armor was also bulked up and used on the original two versions of the RX-77-2 Guncannon that were produced during Project V. However, a raid by Zeon forces, which accidentally activated the Gundam and its pilot and sent it into combat, resulted in one of the Guncannons being destroyed. So for the first part of the original Gundam cartoon series, only one Guncannon was available to back up the Gundam in its many engagements, but this machine was good enough. And soon after, it was discovered that you really couldn't mass produce the Gundam. They tried on Earth with the Gundam ground type, but it turned out to be too costly and expensive and too difficult. But if they could keep these backline support units alive, they thought it might be worth mass producing the Guncannon. So they made the original RX-77-2 fully laden out with its original prototype specifications, including a beam rifle to supplement its two awesome, powerful, long-range 240mm shoulder-mounted cannons for devastating long-range support firepower to deliver punishment on the Zeon forces, while other mobile suits like the Gundam and the Jim closed in for the kill. This was a terrific mobile suit, and just enough of them were produced to last the Federation to the end of the war, and many of these models survived. However, there was a shortage, and there just wasn't enough of these original RX-77-2s to go around. So as a stopgap measure, of course, the Federation decided to take its venerable and very modular Jim mass production Gundam type and mount a single 240mm cannon on one shoulder and up armor this unit to make the Jim cannon, the GM cannon. While they were doing that stopgap measure, the scientists went back to the drawing board and decided to take out the Guncannon's learning computer, the Guncannon's core fighter, downgrade the reactor, downgrade the armor, and of course, instead of giving each unit a beam rifle, decide to give it a conventional Jim handheld machine gun, mobile suit machine gun. Remember, a mobile suit machine gun is between 90 and 120 millimeters. So when I say mobile suit machine gun, I really mean very large automated tank cannon. So there is where we get the RX-77D Guncannon mass production type. The mass production type did see service towards the end of the war, especially in the side colonies that were away from the main line, but many of these suits were delivered to the main line units in the main thrust towards the Zeon homeland, and many of these units saw combat at the apocalyptic battles of Solomon and Abawaku, which was the last battle of the 1-year war. But the Guncannon mass production type didn't just serve in space at these famous battles and at these garrison units on the other sides of colonies for the Earth's sphere. It also saw extensive use on the ground and participated in battles on Earth, most notably at the Battle of Odessa, where at least 3 were used for long-range bombardment and attacking the Midnight Fenrir Corps during Zeon's retreat from that battle, and also in the Australia War Theater, where at least one of these units was attached to the White Dingo team of Torrington Base. And there were many other uses of long-range support of the Guncannon mass production type all over Earth, as well as its many famous engagements in space. What also made this mobile suit so interesting is that it had a commonality of parts with the later models of Jims that preceded the Jim Kai, and that would be, of course, the RGM-79G Jim Command Space and Ground type. These mobile suits were the latest, greatest Jim mobile suits that were used for the 1-year war and were the direct predecessors of the Jim Kai, which was used at the very tail end of the 1-year war and after up to Operation Stardust during the Daylaz conflict. And this mobile suit had many common parts with those two Jim models, which means it was very easy to repair and to perform maintenance on, and it supplemented those mobile suits well, besides being a mass-produced gun cannon and giving much needed support to the Jims on the front line in both Earth and space. However, it did have some drawbacks in that it was particularly slow and it could be ambushed by the quicker Zeon mobile suits and had very little in the way of close combat or melee defense. So it depended heavily on nearby Jims and Federation warships to thwart the attacks of some of the very fast enemy mobile suits. But in large numbers and at long range, with the support of other mobile suits and armor from the Federation, such as the Ball and the Jim Cannon, the Guncannon could produce a terrific and tremendous amount of firepower in numbers that could sink warships and create barrages of 240 millimeter shell that could completely annihilate formations of Zeon mobile suit and craft. So used correctly, this mobile suit was tremendously dangerous to the Zeon forces, and it gave the Federation some freedom of initiative as it caused the relatively medium to close range Zeon mobile suits. It forced them to close into a range with these artillery-based mobile suits so that they could take them out, and it forced them to attack recklessly in frontline charges to bypass the GMs to get to the gun cannons, GM cannons, and balls of the Federation space fleet, and that created openings for mobile suits like the GM and the Gundam to shoot down these Zeon mobile suits in a nice defensive counterattack, which was pretty neat. So the Guncannon and the Guncannon mass production type was not just a slow armored mobile suit that had good long range and medium range firepower, it also gave tactical flexibility to the Federation forces and attacked the Zeon at a nice safe distance, enabling close to medium range Federation mobile suits to do their job with more tactical flexibility, leniency, and strategic depth, and that was pretty cool. So this mobile suit did offer a lot to the Federation forces, even though it did find itself in vulnerable positions from time to time. Some of these units did survive and were placed in garrison units after the 1 Year War, but after the 1 Year War there was less large-scale engagements for the Guncannon to participate in, and so most of the garrison forces were replacing this particular model with more modular and easily mass-produced GMs. However, later on, sometime after the war, about 4 or 5 years, the legacy of this mobile suit survives in the GM Cannon 2. What makes that very interesting is that the GM Cannon 2 is essentially a gun cannon, but it has the frame of the GM Kai, many components and generator pieces that are compatible with the GM Custom, and just up-armored it, and this armor could be removed and re-armored to make the unit a faster, smaller unit, or up-armored with both cannons to make it essentially the newest version of the gun cannon. That's the GM Cannon 2. What's very interesting about the GM Cannon 2 is that with the refinement and modification and strengthening of Federation beam weapon technology, they were able to put 2 shoulder-mounted beam weapons on this mobile suit instead of the 240 millimeter cannons that it was originally designed to use. So back to the RX-77D. The RX-77D in game terms is a low-cost support mobile suit for the Federation that does a terrific job on ground or in space, and it's less cost than the original RX-77-2, which has a beam rifle and higher armor and defense specs. But if you want to take this thing in a 300-point battle, it is just great because it brings a lot of the features of the more superior gun cannon and enables you to bring this type of firepower mobile suit into lower point engagements down to 300 points. You have to sit still both in space and in ground to utilize the 240 millimeter cannons, but they do stagger when you hit and have a fairly large blast radius, so it's not hard to hit targets. You may not do full damage, however, you will stagger the target and allow your compatriots and allies to go in there and take advantage of that stun and deliver extra damage to your targets. The 240 millimeter secondary weapon cannons can be used at a very long range, comparatively speaking, so you can pump shot after shot into targets far away, and when those targets close in, you have your primary weapon, which is the bullpup machine gun used by the GMs, and since you are a support mobile suit, if those mobile suits closing in on you are general use mobile suits, you will get a small damage buff when engaging them, meaning that even though general use mobile suits tend to have more mobility and a shield and a decent amount of firepower. You can trade blows with general use mobile suits and fight them off, and when you do, you can go back to using your 240mm cannons at long range to support the other members on your team, which is just great. It's a very versatile machine, and it's a lot of fun to fly. Now, I do okay in these two replays, and I just wanted to take this machine out. It's not really my style. I tend to like general use mobile suits, and I am getting into raid mobile suits, and I enjoy them too. But I thought that it was about time that we showcase another support mobile suit, and you couldn't find one that's any more different than the Zaku 2 Heavy Arms. First of all, you can use this mobile suit in space, which is a tremendous advantage as far as the gamer is concerned, because you can acquire this mobile suit and use it in engagements in space and ground. As well as that, its primary weapon is the same primary weapon that can be used on several models of GMs. So when you buy a level 1, level 2, or level 3 bullpup machine gun for your GMs, you can use that on level 1, 2, and 3 Guncannon mass production types, which is a huge advantage as far as DP and experience expenditure in the game. So this is a very versatile mobile suit, but it doesn't have very good defense close up. It only has its fists to use in close combat, and it is pretty slow, so if you get a raid all up in your business, you are going to be in serious trouble. It's going to be hard to fight them off. You cannot use evasive maneuvers like general use mobile suits, and you're just not as fast as raid mobile suits. So if you get a raid mobile suit attacking you, you have to be very quick and very ready for the response, and it would benefit you tremendously to have a friendly mobile suit nearby to help out. So when you fly this mobile suit, you really want to be behind friendly lines near other mobile suits, supporting them, delivering the power and the stun ability to targets at long range, so your other mobile suit friends can take them out at close to medium range. Another benefit of this mobile suit, besides being able to zoom, is that it also reduces the wait time for your friends on your team when they are respawning, and it is also capable of doing good damage to the enemy base. So if you just can't get in there to plant a bomb in the enemy base in basic mode, you can bombard it at long range and possibly take it out and score big points for both you and your team. So this is a good little mobile suit. These replays are from before my promotion to the corporal rank, so they are in standard Federation colors, but I have since painted it in my own color scheme. It's just I don't have any replays with the new color scheme yet, but I may soon in the future. But that's a little bit of lore on the Guncannon, which is the trademark support and ally mobile suit for the Gundam and the GMs during the 1 Year War, and it also produced a lineage of support mobile suits after the 1 Year War. So even though there were no more Guncannons by the time of the Delaz conflict, which is Mobile Suit Side Story 0083 Operation Stardust Memory, you can still find its lineage and successors in the GM Cannon 2 and other mobile suits going after, such as the Jesta from Gundam Unicorn. So it's a fun mobile suit to fly. It's very cost effective to acquire this mobile suit. You can use it in both space and ground. It has very good primary weapons for use at long range, and it has very good primary weapon for use at medium close range with decent armor and poor but reasonable mobility, and it is very versatile and cost effective. So that about does it for the Guncannon mass production type, and we'll be seeing and visiting other mobile suits soon on the channel, as well as providing new tactics, tips, and hints to play Gundam Battle Operation 2 on PS4. Well, that's it from me for now, and I'll see you soon.